I also want to note that Mr. Sean Kirkpatrick, director of the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, the component of the DoD office that investigates UAP data, has testified before the Senate this year that his unit has found no evidence of extraterrestrial activity. NASA has also stated that they don't have evidence of extraterrestrial life either, and we've heard this, of course, from some of our government agencies. And we should remind viewers and witnesses, which I think is really important, that we also cannot share classified information in public settings.
Do you believe in UFOs?
You mean like aliens?
Yeah.
Like flying saucers?
Yeah.
That visit this planet?
Yeah.
No.
You know, starting in 2017, when it actually came out, it took that stigma away. I mean, I've talked to multiple senators who said prior to that, if you'd have mentioned UAP, you'd have been laughed off the hill. And now we're sitting here today for a public testimony on what's actually going on.
Do you feel adequately trained and briefed on how to handle encounters with UAPs? Steps do you think you have to be taken to improve a pilot's UAP reporting? Give me a little idea the degree to which reports in the past are not made public right now. How you believe it's, kind of to play the devil's advocate, a reason why some of this stuff should not be available to the public?
There's certainly some national security concerns when we use our advanced sensors in our tactical jets to be able to identify these objects. However, there's no reason that the objects themselves would be classified.
Assuming that there are reasons why not all this should be made public, this has been around for a long period of time. Can any of the three of you think of any reason why anything related to UAPs, say 15 years and back, should not be immediately made public? Based off of each of your experiences and observations, do you believe UAPs pose a potential threat to our national security? In your complaint to the Intelligence Community Inspector General, you claim that you believe information is being hidden. What kind of information do you think was hidden, and do you think it should remain hidden?
What kind of process could be in place for civilians who are not pilots, who may have UAP encounters? Mr. Gresh, finally, do you believe that our government is in possession of UAPs? And where?
How do you know that these were not our aircraft? Have you spoken to commercial and military pilots that have seen these off of our East Coast? What astonished you the most about the flight capabilities of these Tic Tac? You're not aware of any other objects that anybody in the world has, in this world, that has those capabilities. Did you experience any of that jamming or interrupting your radar or weapons system? Are you aware of any of our enemies that have that capability?
No.
You've identified these as taking place on the East Coast. Is it just on the East Coast where these encounters have been reported?
No. Since the events initially occurred, I've learned that the objects have been detected essentially where all operations, Navy operations, are being conducted across the world.
Are there common characteristics to the UAPs that have been cited by different pilots, and can you describe what the convergence of descriptions is? Dark gray or black cubes?
Yes, inside of a clear sphere.
What is the most vivid, concrete sighting with the naked eye of the objects that you described before, the cube-like objects?
Certainly. I think the most vivid sighting of that would have been near midair that we had at the entrance to our working area. One of these objects was completely stationary at the exact entrance to our working areas, not only geographically but also at altitude. So it was right where all the jets are going, essentially, on the eastern seaboard. The two aircraft flew within about 50 feet of the object, and that was a very close visual sighting.
I hope you understand that there would be bipartisan rejection of any attempt to vilify, demonize, or engage in other reprisals against our witnesses and people who are telling the truth from their perspective.
Our NHI is working with adversarial foreign governments in either technology exchange programs or back engineering programs. On the 19th of April, Dr. Kirkpatrick, head of Aero, had said that he did not find any evidence of UAPs. You also stated that you had, in your interview, that you had briefed him on information that you were uncovering, but that he did not follow up with you. Were the items that you divulged to him pertinent to national security? Please explain to me in detail the event that occurred at Vandenberg Air Force Base.
Certainly. In the 2003 timeframe, a large group of Boeing contractors were operating near one of the launch facilities at Vandenberg Air Force Base when they observed a very large 100-yard sided red square approach the base from the ocean and hover at low altitude over one of the launch facilities. This object remained for about 45 seconds or so before darting off over the mountains. There was a similar event within 24 hours later in the evening. This was a morning event, I believe 8:45 in the morning. Later in the evening, post-sunset, there were reports of other sightings on base, including some aggressive behaviors. These objects were approaching some of the security guards at rapid speeds before darting off. And this is information that was received through one of the witnesses that have approached me at Americans for Safe Aerospace.
Was this documented in any official form, whether it was a police blotter?
Yes.
With the FAA, to your understanding, pilots that are seeing this, commercial airline pilots, are they receiving cease and desist letters from corporations for coming forward with information in regards to safety for potential airline passengers?
I have been made privy to conversations with commercial aviators who have received cease and desist orders.
So the American public should know that corporations are putting their own reputations on the not the line, but ahead of the safety of the American people. And I think, would you agree with that statement?
It appears so.
Talk about G-forces of those vehicles. Could a human survive those G-forces with known technology today? How close did you get? Did you see a seam or a rivet or a section? And what I mean is, obviously, the jets you're flying have all those things. Did these objects have those? Rush, as a result of your previous government work, have you met with people with direct knowledge or have direct knowledge yourself of non-human origin craft?
Yes, I personally interviewed those individuals.
Do you have reason to believe that there are programs in the advanced tech space that are unsanctioned? And when you say that they're above congressional oversight, what do you mean? How does a program like that get funded? There is money in the budget that is said to go to a program, but it doesn't, and it goes to something else?
Yes, I have specific knowledge of that. Yep.
Corporations are overcharging for certain tech they're selling to the U.S. government, and that additional money is going to programs? Do you have direct knowledge, or have you talked to people with direct knowledge that there are satellite imagery of these events, that this imagery applies to crash sites? Have any information that the U.S. government is involved in a disinformation campaign to deny the existence of certain UAPs?
Do you believe that military pilots feeling empowered to share their UAP experiences has directly impacted the scientific community's research goals on this topic? Mr. Graves, can you discuss the importance of seeking scientists to sit on your advisory board?
Absolutely. I think ultimately this is going to be a scientific problem. And not only that, it's also an engineering problem.
And how might Congress help to facilitate partnerships between the scientific community and the UAP focus groups within government?
Well, I think one of the things they can do is to have these types of hearings to communicate to the public that this is a topic of interest.
Has the U.S. government become aware of actual evidence of extraterrestrial, otherwise unexplained forms of intelligence? And if so, when do you think this first occurred?